Have you ever heard of the Gfin Paradox? It is an economic phenomenon that challenges the traditional law of supply and demand. In this video, we will explore what the Gfin Paradox is, how it works, and why it matters. At the heart of economics and at the core of human relationships lies the law of supply and demand. This law states that the price of a good is determined by the balance between supply and demand for that good. Demand is the amount consumers are willing and able to pay for a good or service. The utility of a good is influenced by factors such as the consumer's income, the prices of alternative goods, and consumer expectations. Supply is the quantity of producers putting a good or service on the market. It is affected by factors such as producers' costs, technological developments, government policies, and future expectations. The law of supply and demand explains how the price of a good is determined as follows. If the supply of a good increases, the price of that good falls. If the demand for a good increases, the price of that good rises. The law of supply and demand can be observed in many examples in everyday life. For example, supermarkets sell high-quality sausages more expensive than ordinary brand sausages because high-quality sausages are less available. Car companies only charge extra for a car that changes color because consumers prefer colors they find more attractive. In 1895, the British economist Alfred Marshall published a book explaining mathematically how supply and demand are created. Marshall's work laid the foundations of the law of supply and demand and became one of the basic principles of economics. Marshall stated the general rule of the law of supply and demand as, if the price of a good increases, the demand for that good decreases. However, Scottish economist and statistician Robert Giffen pointed out that there is an exception to this rule. During the potato famine in Ireland in the mid-19th century, Giffen observed that high potato prices increased rather than decreased demand for potatoes, and he investigated the cause of this reversal. His work is now known as the paradox because the situation he analyzed violates the law of supply and demand. The Gfin Paradox is a situation where the demand for a good increases as its price rises. To understand the Gfin Paradox, we need to focus on goods related to basic needs. Also, goods whose demand increases as their price increases are called Gfin Goods. These goods continue to be demanded by consumers regardless of their price. These are usually goods that you consume more of when you have less money, but that you quickly replace with better options when your income increases. A contemporary example of Giffin's paradox is that low-income families used to be able to get by with a simple meal of a few ingredients and bread, but with the rise in vegetable prices, this has become impossible. As a result, the staple food for many people has become bread, which is the cheapest and most filling. As a result, as the demand for bread increased, it became more expensive. As a result, although the demand for bread is currently high, its price has increased, creating a paradox that contradicts the law of supply and demand. If the product you buy is a Gfin good, you are forced to switch to alternative goods because of the increase in its price. But the alternative goods are more expensive than the price of your product. Therefore, the increase in the price of your product makes it relatively cheaper. This causes you to buy more of your good. It challenges the traditional understanding of consumer behavior and has important implications for economic theory. It forces economists to reconsider the factors influencing demand and the relationship between price and quantity demanded. A good understanding of the Gfin Paradox can also have practical implications. For policymakers, it emphasizes the importance of taking into account the distribution of income and the impact of price changes on different segments of society. For example, suppose a government implements a policy to lower the prices of staple food products. This policy increases the demand for these products by low-income families. This could reverse the government's intended effect and further increase the prices of staples. The Gfin Paradox is often observed in basic necessities and among low-income families. These products are essential for consumers and alternatives are more expensive. When we talk about the Gfin Paradox, we are talking about another situation that leads to a strange contradiction in economic terms. This is also known as Vin Goods. Vin Goods are goods whose demand increases as their price increases. This is the opposite of the Gfin Paradox. Vin goods are associated with conspicuous consumption. High price is directly associated with higher quality, exclusivity, and prestige for demanding consumers. Therefore, Veblen goods symbolize wealth and social status. Demand for Veblen goods is often driven by high-income consumers. These consumers want to show their wealth and social status by purchasing Veblen goods. Therefore, when the price of Veblen goods increases, the demand for these goods also increases. When the price falls, the demand for Veblen goods decreases. This is because Veblen goods are perceived as a symbol of wealth and social status. When the price falls, Veblen goods become accessible to consumers with lower incomes. This reduces the value of Veblen goods as a symbol of wealth and social status. Some examples of Veblen goods are as follows. Examples include luxury cars, luxury clothes, jewelry, luxury watches, and works of art. Veblen goods are an important concept for economic theory. These goods challenge the traditional understanding of consumer behavior. Here are some examples illustrating the Gfin Paradox. Bread is an example of a Gfin good. Gfin goods are goods whose demand increases as their price increases. This is observed for basic necessities and among low-income families. When the price of bread increases, low-income families are forced to turn to alternative goods instead of bread. However, alternative goods are more expensive than bread. Therefore, low-income families increase their demand for bread despite the increase in bread prices. While the Gfin Paradox is observed for basic needs and among low-income families, it can also be observed in other situations. For example, the Gfin Paradox can be observed for addictive products, non-substitutable products, and when income is fixed. The Gfin Paradox is an important concept for economic theory and policymaking. Understanding it can help us better understand economics and develop more effective policies. As we come to the end of this video, we would like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. We hope you enjoyed the content and information we shared with you. If you did, please click the like button below. Your positive feedback motivates us to create more informative and engaging content. Subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. By subscribing to our channel, you become an active member of our community. Your participation inspires us to create more content that matches your interests and preferences. So thank you for being part of our community. Hope to see you in our next video. Take care and goodbye.